Hello, everybody. Welcome. Welcome to the webinar. I'm so excited to kick off this new year. There's so many incredible things happening, and I'm excited to share with you some things that I've been thinking about a lot lately and talking about goals and specifically what it becoming a meaningful specific. If you're not sure what that is, we're going to dive right into that here in just a moment. But this webinar is really to help you to set goals for the year, but really not so much about like New Year's resolutions. I'm not a big believer in that. I really want it to be goal setting so that you can have a purpose-driven life. What's the point of setting goals? To just live a mediocre life, to just get by, right? To be that wandering generality. So we're going to be talking about what does a purpose-driven life look like? How do we get there? And so welcome. If you haven't already, introduce yourself in the chat. Tell us who you are, where you're from, and Jacqueline on my team is also in the chat, and she wants to know and I do too, what is your number one goal for this year? In fact, we'll be diving a little bit more into that even more. But if you know it off the top of your head now, put it in the chat. So, well, welcome everyone. My name's Michelle Prince. I am CEO of Performance Publishing. I am also a very proud Ziglar certified trainer, speaker. Began my career working for Zig very, very early on and was very honored to be named the brand ambassador a couple of years ago. So what I want to do is share with you what I know about goal setting, but also a lot of things that I learned from the great and late Mr. Zig Ziglar, who is somebody that I highly, highly respect, admire, and just am so grateful for the opportunity to have learned from him through the years. So welcome, and I'm so glad to see so many people here. I have a fellow Ziglarite friend, Chad is here, and so many others. So welcome. We're excited to get started. Okay. So what is this whole meaningful specific thing all about? Well, basically, it boils down to this quote by Zig Ziglar. And that is, he said, don't become a wandering generality, be a meaningful specific. So what exactly does that mean? Well, we're going to dive into that. But really, there are 3 steps that I want to walk you through on today's webinar to help you move from becoming a wandering generality to being a meaningful specific. And we'll really bring this down, land the plane a little bit more so that you really have some specific details that you can take and run with after this webinar. But the whole point is we want to have a purpose-driven life. We want to live a life that has meaning, that we're proud of, that we're making an impact, and we're really using all the gifts and talents that have been given to us. And we all have this purpose and this ability. So what are those 3 steps? Well, at a high level, let me tell you what they are. Number 1 is purpose. You have to know your purpose in life. You have to have clarity on purpose in order to really move in the direction that you're supposed to go. We'll dive into that here shortly. Then it's all about a plan, right? You can't go from just wandering around life and not really sure where you're headed to being and living the life that you really truly want without a plan. So that is a big part of this webinar as well. And then we're going to be talking about the people, because the people you surround yourself with have everything to do with your success in life, everything. And so we're going to be diving into that as well. So a lot to cover here in a short period of time. So again, I want to just welcome everyone. I see a lot of friendly faces, some new friends, some old friends, and I'm just so glad you're here. And if you haven't already, share in the chat who you are, where you're from, and if you have, what is your number 1 goal for this year, this coming year, or the year we're in now, right? We just kicked it off. If you don't know it yet, that's okay too, because we're going to be helping you do that. All right. So let's really get into, well, what on earth did Zig mean by a wandering generality? What is that? What is a person? How is a person a wandering generality? Well, you may know people who sound a little like this. They just kind of drift through life, right? They don't really have a lot of direction. So they're just kind of, going where they go, kind of like a caterpillar, right? You don't really know exactly what they're doing. They're doing something, but it's more or less adrift. They do set goals because, frankly, we all have goals, but they're very vague. Somebody who's a wandering generality might say, I want to make more money this year, or I want to be more successful. Well, gosh, that sounds great, but that's so vague. How could you possibly get there, right? Another way to think of somebody who's a wandering generality, they're a procrastinator. Now, look, I know we all procrastinate. In fact, if you would admit to being a procrastinator, just raise your hand in the chat. It's okay. You can do it now. You don't have to wait. Thank you, Bob. Thank you for, and somebody others who are doing that, right? I'm raising my hand, and that was kind of a joke. But the truth is, we do all procrastinate. But, one of the things, I've been in business now since 2009, which is shocking because so we're coming up on, hard to believe, 15 years of getting to do what I am so grateful to do. But I can remember just almost being proud of being a procrastinator, I'm so busy, I've got so much going on. But the truth is we tend to procrastinate on the things that matter most, the things that will make us happier, healthier, have better relationships, have prosperity, all of the things, better health. We tend to procrastinate on those things, but we don't tend to procrastinate on the things that don't really matter, checking email, checking social media, all of those things contribute to being a wandering generality if we let it take over our lives, right? But there is good news. There's a way to get past this wandering generality stuff. Okay. So, and then, this person has no clarity, right? Purpose was one of the first things I mentioned on that list. In order to move from wandering generality to a meaningful specific, you have to know your purpose. We all have a purpose. I'll dig in more on that, but just know if you're not clear in your purpose, today is the day to commit to finding what that purpose is. Because when you know and have clarity on why you're here and what you're called to do, not only does life get a lot more fun, but it's just so much more meaningful. And that's what we're really seeking in this webinar, especially, is becoming that meaningful specific. Lack of motivation, they just kind of do what they do, but they're not really motivated to do a lot more. It's kind of like that, bare minimum. I'm going to do what I'm paid to do, but I'm not really looking to do a lot more than that. Lack of motivation. And these are the people too that I see a lot that just kind of hope. They hope, and hope is a good thing. I don't mean that in a bad way. Hope is awesome when you have hope in, God or something like that. But when you're just hoping that everything's going to work out, or hoping that, some doors will open or things will get better, but you're not really making a plan, you're not really spending any time thinking about it, those are people who are wandering generalities. I know none of you are wandering generalities because you're here today. You're listening to this, you're watching this, and you want this year to be your best year. But it takes more than just hope. It really does. So let's switch gears a little bit and let's, are you all hearing me okay? I just had somebody in the chat say that the audio went off. Can somebody kind of message me in this chat and let me know, thumbs up or thumbs down, if you can hear me okay? Okay. All right. Thanks, Bob. Thanks. Okay. Just making sure, because somebody said they had some sound issues, and frankly, with Zoom, anything can happen, right? All right, let's now focus on what we really want. We don't want to be wandering generalities, even if we have dabbled our toe in it for a little bit here and there, which I know I have as well in my life. Let's focus on what we do want, and that's to become a meaningful specific. So what exactly does that mean? Well, somebody who is a meaningful specific is they know their core values. They know what they stand for. They know what's important to them. They know what their priorities are. They know where they want to spend their time because they have a purpose. They have a plan, and they have people around them to help them get there. They have a vision for the future. They're not just stuck where they are. They're thinking beyond what is possible today into what is possible later, a year from now, a month from now, whatever it is, right? They also recognize their unique strengths. We all have unique strengths. And this is sometimes really hard in a world of comparison, in a world of social media. There's plenty of times that I've compared myself to others. And then what good does that do? Stop and realize that I may not look exactly like everyone else. I may not act exactly like everyone else, but I have unique gifts and talents and strengths. And frankly, we didn't do much to deserve them, right? We were born with a lot of these things. So recognizing them, owning them, and really understanding that what you bring to the table is enough. It's enough. They know their purpose. They know why they're here. Sometimes that purpose can be cloudy. I know for years, I really didn't have a lot of clarity on my purpose. It came a little later for me, but as long as you get it at some point in life, that's what makes you a meaningful specific. Meaningful specifics, they make a decision. They don't just wait for things to happen, but they decide, you know what? I've got one life to live. I'm going to do it in a way that brings me joy. It brings my family joy. It brings others joy. So that's that passion part of it. And you're doing what you know you were created to do. We were all created to do things very differently, very uniquely. And thank God, because there's things that I am not good at. And I am grateful every single day to have people surrounding me that are good at things I don't enjoy. My team, for one, Jacqueline, who's on with me right now. Thank God I am not, we're not all the same, right? But recognizing that, making a decision to live, it is about setting dreams and goals, though. It has to be. You have to have the plan part of it. So let's hear, though, what Zig has to say about being a meaningful specific.
How could a man hit a target he could not see? That's a pretty good question. Here's another one. How can you hit a target you do not have? Besides, planes are built for flying. Ships are built for sailing. Houses are built for living. And man, too, was built for purpose. He was designed for accomplishment. He's engineered for success. He's endowed with the seeds of greatness. And the greatest danger we as human beings have is when we do not do anything at all. People today complain of lack of time. It's not lack of time that's the problem, it's the lack of direction. Are you a wandering generality? Or are you a meaningful specific? Are you going to work tomorrow because that's what you did yesterday? If that's the reason you're going tomorrow, you won't be as good tomorrow as you were yesterday because you're 2 days older and no closer to the goal you do not have. What about you personally? Have you got your goals laid out? Are you a meaningful specific or are you a wandering generality?
Wow, what a great question, right? And a little convicting at times too, especially, when, you're all here because you have dreams and goals. I do too, but there are times when it does feel like, wow, am I just wandering? Am I just going down a road that's not going to get me where I want to go? So the purpose of this webinar, and I love hearing Zig say it in his own way, because it's true. We all have this opportunity to do so much more. And we really just need to understand and recognize that we have the ability to do it ourselves. One of the quotes that Zig said in that audio was, man was designed for accomplishment, engineered for success, and endowed with the seeds of greatness. Anyone who has followed me for any period of time knows that is one of my all-time favorite quotes by Zig Ziglar. And it was the first time I heard it was when I was 18 years old, when I was at the Born to Win seminar. It was, as you know, probably it was a funny story that my parents forced me to go to that conference, but it changed my life. And when I heard this quote, at 18 years old, something just totally something just changed in me, because for the first time, I know, I'm sure my parents tried to teach me these things, but for the first time it registered that, like, wow, I'm uniquely made. I was designed for accomplishment. I was engineered for success. I was endowed with seeds of greatness. And seeds of greatness doesn't mean you have it all figured out. It just means that you have everything within you today to be all that you were created to be. Now, sometimes there's a delay from the time that, we know what our purpose is and the time we see the fruit of it, right? So it's that seeds of greatness that I just absolutely love. And it's such a great visual for me in that, what is a seed? A seed is seemingly nothing, right? I mean, nothing. If you've ever bought a packet of seeds, sunflower seeds, tomato seeds, any kind of seed, it doesn't look like much when you open the packet, right? It's just this little seed. What possibly could that seed do? Well, when you do nothing with it, it will do nothing. It will absolutely never, ever, ever grow into what it was engineered and designed to be. You see, a seed like us has everything within it to grow and flourish and become all that we were created to be. But it doesn't happen if you don't have purpose. It certainly doesn't happen if you don't have a plan, and it can't happen if you don't have the right people surrounding you. So my question for all of you, and asking myself too, is, what are those seeds of greatness? Seeds of greatness are not, again, something that you've done to deserve. It's those unique talents, the unique passions, the things that are just innately you. It's part of your DNA. And we were, I believe, born with those, and it's our job to let them grow and flourish. But going back to this whole webinar being moving into becoming a meaningful specific, the seeds of greatness, it's your purpose, your purpose. We may all have different faiths, we may have all different beliefs, but I do believe this with all my heart, that we were created by God with a purpose. That's my belief. And what I also know, and it is my belief, but I also know it to be true, is that I know God is a good God who would never give his child a purpose that he hated. Like, seriously, think about that. Do you really think we would be created to have a purpose that we would struggle with, that we would be like, oh, I hate doing this? No, I don't believe that to be true. Can't prove it. Someday when I get on the other side, I'll ask. But what I think happens is our purpose, though, is tied to clues. And those clues, I believe, are your passions, the things that light you up, the things that you just love to do, or you naturally do. And sometimes this is why it's hard to get this clarity on purpose, because we're like, yeah, but doesn't everybody do that well? Or doesn't everybody? Maybe, but maybe not. So for me, many of you know this funny story, and I won't dwell on it too hard or too long here, but I did discover my seeds of greatness, my purpose, in '89. But you know what? I didn't recognize that I had discovered my purpose at the age of 18 until I was an adult. I mean, this is true story. I couldn't see it then. All I knew is I went to this conference hosted by Zig Ziglar. I didn't want to go, but I ended up loving it. I found my passion. And this is what I mean by your passion is a clue to your purpose. For decades, I did not put those two things together. I never saw that my passion and that like what I experienced in that seminar of, just learning from Zig and all of the speakers and being around positive people and focusing on, self-esteem and confidence and goal setting. I learned goal setting in that seminar. I learned about disc profiling. I learned about so much, but I couldn't put the two together. So my seed was still a seed in '89. I don't think it was planted, nourished, and developed until probably 2009 when I really set out to start my business. So my point in sharing all this with you is, don't be discouraged if you're not sure of your full purpose in life yet, because I don't think most everyone knows for sure, but go in the direction of your passions, go in the direction of what fills you up, lifts you up, and also go in the direction of where you're helping other people. And it doesn't have to be a grand, profound, purpose. Maybe your purpose is just encouraging business owners, or maybe it's working with children, or maybe it's through your writing, inspiring other people. Who knows? We all have a different purpose. Now, my purpose in life led me down a journey of working with somebody, like Zig Ziglar. Chad is on here. I worked with Chad as well back in those early days. So that's part of my purpose, but it doesn't have to be your purpose. See, we all have a different purpose. And had I not gone down that road, I won't be on this road. But just know you have a purpose. It is tied to your passions, I believe, and it is crucial. You will always stay stuck where you are until you get that clarity on the purpose, because without it, you can't create the plan. So going back to the steps to moving from wandering generality to meaningful specific is, first is purpose, like I talked about, but now it's about planning. It's about really establishing, where are we going? It's setting the GPS from point A to point B, right? And so what is really a plan? Well, it's simple. It's goal setting. And this is one of the things I am incredibly grateful for, of learning the goal setting formula through Zig, being around goal setting, setting and achieving people through the years, as all of you are, I'm sure, in that it's just that simple. It's just setting a plan. So it's not a New Year's resolution. It's not, I'm going to lose 50 pounds in 30 days, right? It's not unrealistic plans. It's a plan to get to where you want to go. And here's the thing. Some of you might be thinking, yeah, but I don't have any goals. I've heard this before. Yes, you do. Everybody has goals. Everybody has goals. A bank robber has goals. A drug dealer has goals. They may not be the right goals, but they have goals. You have goals. And if it's to get to where you want to go, that's a goal. If it's to stay comfortable, guess what? That's a goal. So the key in setting goals is not just about setting goals, is where you have to set the right kind of goals. You will always move in the direction of your thoughts. And this is so simple for me to say. I don't want you in a moment to think that I don't, struggle sometimes too, going, I set a goal and I don't always achieve it, but you know what? Maybe it wasn't the right goal. Maybe it wasn't really based on my purpose. Maybe it was based on what I thought I wanted, but not necessarily tied to purpose. So those two come hand and they go hand in hand. So having the right kind of goals is crucial, because ultimately goals have power, and that could be in a good way or a bad. When you set your mind to something, right? You may set your mind to, I'm never going to get out of debt. It's a recession. Oh my gosh, I'm not going to succeed this year. That's a goal. And guess what? You just gave it power to take you where your mind just told you. Or you can turn it around and give it the power of, I may not have all the steps and figured out how I'm getting there yet, but I'm going to give it the power in the direction I want to go versus where I don't want to stay. Goals have power. And obviously, you need to learn how to set goals. The plan is not difficult, but you do need to know what to do. And that's really where Zig has just come in my life and taught me so many things about goal setting, but so much more. It's really about life setting. It's priority setting. It's not just about checking a box, but you do need to know how to set those goals. And then finally, in order to really establish a plan, you got to be a flea trainer. If you don't know what I'm talking about, take a look at this.
You must know how to train fleas. And so my question in this live presentation here in front of all of you folks, how many of you in this audience, and all I want you to do is be honest with me, how many of you do not know how to train fleas? Can I see your hands, please? Hey, you got here just in time. I know you heard the one about the two fleas at the bottom of the hill, and one of them says, well, do we walk or take a dog? But anyhow, you train fleas by putting them in a jar. And you put the top on the jar and you watch those fleas, and they'll jump up and they'll hit the top over and over and over and over and over and over. You watch them jump. And finally, after they've been jumping a long time, you will notice that even though they continue to jump, all of a sudden they are no longer jumping high enough to hit the top. Then it's an absolute fact. You can just take the top off of the jar, and they'll keep on jumping and jumping and jumping and jumping, but they cannot, I repeat, cannot jump out. You see, they have conditioned themselves to jump just so high. And once they've conditioned themselves to jump just so high, that's all there is. There ain't no more. Man is the same way. He starts out in life to climb the mountain, to write the book, to break the record, to do something with his life. But along the way, he bumps his head, he stubs his toe, and he becomes what I call a SNIOP. Now, that's spelled SNIOP. And that's a person who is susceptible to the negative influence of other people.
I love watching these videos. It's so awesome. Timeless and just applies to everything. We'll talk about the SNIOP part in a minute, but first, what a great visual, right? Of why so many of us stay stuck. It's not that we're not setting goals. It's not that we don't have a vision of what we want. It's just that a lot of times we limit ourselves to what we think is possible, right? It's comfortable in the jar. Everyone else is hitting the same levels. You don't stand out much when you go, you just do what everybody else is doing, right? But is that really what we were created to be? Weren't we created to go higher and farther than we were before? So I just think that's such a great analogy of, well, what is it that you really want to accomplish this year? And are you jumping out of that glass jar? What is it that is what is going to what is going to move you so much that it's going to make you want to go beyond where you're comfortable, beyond where you've been before? That's where that clarity, right? The purpose and the plan has to be in place, because without it, it's really easy to stay in that comfort zone. Really, really easy. So I want to ask you, some of you put it in the chat, and that's great. Actually, I'm going to launch this, a little quiz, or a poll, I should say. I do want to know, what is your number one goal in 2024? And so just take a second. This should pop up on your screen where it's asking you your number one goal. You can type it in, and then the second question is more of a multiple choice. Like if there's certain things that, like, maybe you want to write a book or something like that. But I would love to know there's no right or wrong answer, but go ahead, take a second right now, and in the poll, answer your number one goal. And then if any of those multiple choice options are one of your goals, I'd like to know. So take just a second to do that. All right. As they're coming in, I'll kind of share what I'm seeing. We have some wanting to get paid speaking engagements. That's awesome. That's definitely one of the things that was high on my priority list, especially when I started my business. And actually, it's a higher priority for me in 2024 as well, doing some changes and some things. But what else? What else? What else? I've only seen a couple of you go through this yet, so please take a second and do this. This will be relevant, I promise, because until we start to think about what we are thinking about or where we're headed, it's hard to really, this is part of the plan part of this, right? I'm helping you to think through the plan. Forced, I guess, but still. Take about 30 more seconds. I see a lot of you haven't done yours yet, but it's okay. A little bit more. All right, we have a lot of you wanting to write a book, paid speaking engagements, being a guest on podcasts, which is awesome, digital course, coaching. All right, 10 more seconds, and then I'm going to end this and we'll see what people are thinking. All right, let's see. I think I'm sharing the results. Hopefully you all can see, but like I said, a lot of people here. And if I looked at the specifics of the details, no, it's not opening up. That's okay though, because, oh, okay, you try to enter it. Thank you for letting me know. All right, well, let's do this. I'm going to, if for those of you who didn't see something that was in that multiple choice, maybe you could put it in the chat. But here are some of the things that I know people either on this webinar or across the board want to do. But maybe your goal is to write a book. I mean, if you want to write a book, you are in the right place, because I love helping people to realize and really run with their story, because this is truly how we make an impact in people's lives. But maybe some of you don't want to do that and you want to start a business. Maybe you're in corporate America, you're tired of it, you're ready to move on. Awesome. Well, if that's your goal, there's a plan we can put together for that. Paid speaking, several of you said that in the poll. This was how I started my business. Well, actually, I started with free and then that led to paid, but this is a great goal. It requires a plan, of course. Creating a course. I love this, that some of you want to do this, because you realize that not everyone learns the same way. So for those of you who want to write a book, if you just take that great content and the lessons and the wisdom you have and put it in a book, you may miss out on people that prefer to do things like this, prefer to watch a video, prefer to hear it, listen to it when they're on the go. Creating a course is a great way to do that. I know some of you are already coaching, or maybe you want to start coaching or doing more consulting. If that's your goal, awesome goal, because there's so many people seeking a coach in all kinds of areas. They need help. So helping them is crucial. Got to have a plan. Podcast. I love podcasting. Those of you who are in my Bookbound Academy first cohort knows that I talked about podcasting. I love podcasting. I think it's one of the greatest ways to get your brand out there. Maybe your goal is not necessarily any of those things, but you want more exposure, or you want to be an authority, the thought leader in your particular area. That's an awesome goal. Maybe it's more personal. You want to work on your confidence, work on your mindset, your belief system. All of those things are important, because again, that purpose comes before the plan. So this stuff, the mindset stuff, is all part of that. Maybe you want to take more risks, kind of stop being that flea in the glass jar that feels really, really comfortable, and you're ready to step out and do something different. If that's the case, then I think that's a great goal. And I know so many of you want to make a difference. So in order to do any of these goals, or even what's not on this list, it has to be tied to your purpose. And I imagine it is, if you're passionate about it, if there's a bigger purpose behind, why do you want to write a book? That's the first question I ask someone when we do strategy calls for authors. Why do you want to write a book? Aside from having a book, being an author, but there's got to be a bigger why, or it's a goal you won't achieve. You have to have the bigger why, the purpose behind it. And then the plan, of course. And then now let's move into the third step in moving from from wandering generality to meaningful specific is people. I mean, truly, truly, you can't go at life alone. You can't go at goal setting alone. You can't go at doing anything alone, right? Because we need people to help us either get where we want to go, shorten the learning curve, or frankly, just be there to support us and cheer us along. That's important to me. And I think it's crucial for those of us who are trying to set and achieve some pretty big goals. So I love that Zig in the audio talked about the SNIOPs, right? What is a SNIOP? Well, those are the people that are susceptible to the negative influence of other people. Have you ever been in a great mood and then all of a sudden you either hang around with somebody or you're on a phone call and that person's negative and you leave there with all of your energy just sucked out of you? I always say it's like the vampire like sucking the life out of you. Well, that means you're susceptible, right? You are allowing somebody else's opinion, their view of things, really take hold of yours. And the truth is, we do have control over this. We have control over who we're hanging around. It's been said that you are the equivalent of the 5 people you hang around with the most. So think about that right now. In the last month, who did you hang around with the most? Who are those 5 people? Where are they in terms of success or joyfulness or happiness or making a difference? Where are they in that? If they are where you want to go, those are the right people. But if they're not, is it possible that there's a little bit of SNIOP going on with you? I know it has been for me in many, many years past. So just being aware of who are you hanging around with, but most importantly is finding those people. We recently wrapped up I talked about the Bookbound cohort, and we recently wrapped up a small group of incredible people, some of which I believe are on here today. And they, it's just, there's so much power in doing something with other people, right? To just go on a journey together. So instead of being a SNIOP, why not focus on becoming a SPIOP? Yes, I made that up, but why not be susceptible to the positive influence of other people, right? Figuring out, well, who is it that I really, want to become like, what do I want to learn in business? What do I want to learn about mindset or writing a book or whatever it is? And then be influenced in a positive way by the right people, right? Find the winners that can get you to where you want to go. That's what a community is. That's what a coach is. I mean, those things don't seem to be that big of a especially I will say as an entrepreneur, and those of you who are, it's really easy to get stuck in the lane of, I've got this. I'm just going to do this myself. I'm just going to put my head down. I'm just going to work and I'm just going to plow through it. And that's great. And guess what? We're all entrepreneurs because we can do that. But can we move faster? Can we really get where we want to go by somebody helping us get there? I totally agree. Yes. Does it have to be like one? I don't believe in a one guru or one mentor. No, we all know something and we all have connections and we all have people that can help us get where we want to go, but we have to be open to invest our time with those people and being a part of a winning community. And so that purpose, the plan, and the people all are incredibly important in really becoming all that you were created to be, this meaningful, specific. But I do believe that the people part of it is super, super important to get you past where you're comfortable in today. So real quick, before I open this up to questions or wrap this up is, I got to thinking, so this is interesting. Over the Christmas holiday, I was thinking about some things, and I was thinking about, obviously, I love to help people to write a book. I love to help people to build a brand. I do some leadership training. I do a lot of different things that I am passionate about. And I was recently interviewed on a podcast, and people always ask me about, what did I learn from Zig Ziglar? And there's a bazillion things I learned from him outside of the books, right? Outside of the courses. Most importantly, I just learned what it means to be an incredible human being, to care about people more than yourself, to live with integrity, to do what you say you're going to do. Those are all the things I learned from him. But goal setting is also one of the ways, or one of the things that I learned. But I got to thinking, instead of me I know what these things are. I try to share them as much as I can, a little bit here, a little bit there, maybe at Bookbound or maybe on a podcast. But it got me thinking, why don't just get a small group together and I want to share with you the things I learned, not just from him, but everybody within the Ziglar organization, the Ziglar, universe, if you will, because we do things differently. We do things a different way for a reason. But because it's not just about the selfishness of achieving a goal for ourselves, that there's always a bigger purpose behind it. So I'm putting together a 6-week course, and it's starting next Friday, actually. It's next Friday, January 19th through February 23rd. We're going to meet for 1 hour once a week at 9 a.m. Central. Can't make the time. I get it. If you're on the West Coast, that's a little early, but they're all recorded, right? But what I want to do is walk you through this journey of not just setting goals, but also doing it the Ziglar way, doing it in a way that truly makes an impact in the world, right? There's a bazillion goal setting programs out there, but what would make this a little bit different is I want to incorporate the things that I believe that, Zig's, what he stood for and what Tom Ziglar stands for and all of the family. And so I want to share those things with you. And again, I am no different or better than anyone else that is affiliated with Ziglar. I just happen to have worked with them in the early years, and it's a part of my DNA. I can't help it. I can't get it out of my blood, but I just want to keep his legacy alive, not for him per se, but because I know this works. My life was changed because of him and his messages, and millions of others. So here's what we're going to do over the next 6 weeks. It is goal setting, but it's not just that. Okay. So first and foremost, yes, we are going to figure out what exactly is your goal. It's about that clarity, right? And then putting together a plan of, well, what potentially could come up over the next several weeks to make you procrastinate, to make you put this on the back burner, or even over the next quarter, the next year, what potentially could set you up for failure. And let's address those now and put together that plan that I'm telling you about. But I also want to talk about, I really want you to dream. And it's interesting. I know how to do all these things. And I find myself setting goals sometimes just based on what I think is possible. A little bit more than maybe what I'm doing now. That is the flea in the glass jar. I want to help you to dream beyond what you've maybe ever dreamed before, to really get outside of this comfort zone. If you know, and you're likely here because this is how I felt when I was at the conference, at the Born to Win conference, you just know there's an inkling that there's more for you, there's more for your life, that God created you to do more. That means you have dreams that maybe you're not even ready to set yet, right? But that's what we're going to do. We're going to set some big dreams, crystallize those, put them into the plan, right? And yes, Zig does have this 7-step goal setting plan, but I want to add more to that as well. It is about mindset. Anybody can set a goal, but do you have the mindset to really allow you to achieve it? I believe sometimes, this is again just a personal belief, that sometimes we have dreams, we have goals, we have aspirations, and sometimes we don't get them in the timing we want. And maybe, just maybe, it's because of protection. Maybe we're not ready to have that dream or a goal yet. Maybe we need to work on ourselves first in order to be prepared to get the dream and the goal. So all of those things go in together with this whole program we're going to do. It's going to be personal. It's going to be a small group. It is going to be accountability and action steps and all of that, but I want to help you get to where you want to go. Again, there's a QR code. It will take you to the website if you want to take a look at it. Jacqueline's also putting it in the chat there. But just a couple more things, and then I'll wrap this up. The other thing I'm going to do, though, so anybody that registers as a result of this webinar is going to get a $1,000 bonus, and it's lifetime access to my new digital course, Bookbound Academy. This is a $1,000 retail that is self-paced. They're on demand. It's a digital course. Again, it's everything. If you've ever been to Bookbound, it's all of the components of what to do to write a book, publish a book, market a book, launch a book, but so much more. And I'm always adding more and more to it because there's always something new coming out, and I want to keep you guys top of with everything with that. So there's literally over 50 videos in there now, plus worksheets and so much more. I'm not doing Bookbound for the foreseeable future as a live event. So this is how we are helping our authors, in addition to coaching and some other things that we're doing. So that's all a part of it. And there's not, it's not theory. It's literally, here's how you do it. If you're thinking about self-publishing, this is going to tell you how to do that. If you want to work with us, great. But it's also going to give you, you're still going to know a lot of things to do. So if writing a book is on your goal list, then this is definitely a great bonus for you. $1,000 value. You will get a login. It'll take you directly to the course where the modules are all broken out. From writing your book, publishing your book, launching the book. I go in a lot of detail about building an author brand, platform, podcasting, the digital courses, speaking engagements, all the things we're talking about. and so much more. And then each one has not just the video to watch, right? And then they average from 5 to 10 minutes, but there's also these downloadable things for you to kind of do this on your own. So wrapping this up, here's what you get. Feel free to scan the QR code if you want to take a look at that and register. Again, it's going to be 6 hours of one-on-one coaching with me. And what I mean by that is it is literally me every Friday coming on. I am going to personalize this to the people in the group because I want to specifically know your goals, and I'm going to help you create that plan. But it's also a community. So I charge $500 an hour for one-on-one coaching, group coaching. So this is a $3,000 value just for that part of it. But then add in the digital course for Bookbound. It's $1,000. I'm going to give you, I'm literally going back through my notes and my workbooks of all the things I learned from Zig, just little things like just, again, outside of the books and all that. And many on this call probably have many things to share that I don't even know or remember as well, but there's so much we can learn from his wisdom, and that's going to be a part of this as well. Over $4,000 value, and it's only $675 or 2 payments of $350. And again, that's over the next 6 weeks. And I would love for you to join us. This is, I have a good feeling about this new year. I know I'm an optimist. I may say that every year, but I really, really believe that this year something is shifting, something is changing, something is happening. In not just my world, but the world of others that I've been around that share passions and goals and all of that. Like, I think there's just going to be a breakthrough in a lot of different areas. And I want to be a part of that with all of you. I want to share in that journey and excitement. So at the end of the day, you know, we have 24 hours in a day. There will never be an additional minute. So it's never going to be a lack of time, right? It's also not going to be a lack of information. Everything I just shared with you, you can go on Google and figure it out on your own. You can chat GPT, whatever you want. Information is out there. So at the end of the day, it's just about taking action. It's implementing, it's doing something, it's setting the plan. It's, you know, identifying that purpose. It's putting the plan in place and then getting people to help you take the action that you need to take to get the goals that you want. But at the end of the day, we don't have to do it on our own. I've learned this the hard way, that I don't have to be a lone ranger to be a successful entrepreneur, and that I do need the support of people. I need friends, I need family, I need colleagues, I need other people who get the world that I'm in. And you know, you do have to invest in yourself. Your time is valuable. There's an investment in that. So it's a decision to make. But I encourage you, if it's not me, find somebody to hold your hand and mentor you, to guide you, to get you to where you want to go, because again, life is just too short to do that. So leverage a coach, leverage a community, and take action. So again, wrapping it up, I'd love for you to be a part of the 6-week course. And there's so much more we're going to dive into. But just bringing us back to where we started on this webinar is, as Zig said, don't be a wandering generality. I think we have clarity now on what that means. And there are moments in all of our lives that we are a wandering generality. I can speak for myself. But we're all designed, created, and engineered to be a meaningful specific. And what if we took action on our goals? It brought us one step higher than where we are today, so that we can turn around and grab somebody's hand and pull them up with us. I mean, that's why we set dreams and goals. It's not just for us, it is for others. But I think we all want to be and step into what we were created to be. That seed is within all of us. Are we really being that full-fledged tree that we were created to be? If not, let's find your purpose, get the plan, and surround yourself with the right people. So that's it for the webinar today. I'm so grateful for all of you for joining. And this is going to be recorded. So for those of you that you know, signed up for this, which you did if you're here, then you're going to get this recording as well. So again, let us know how we can support you. If you want to join arms with me over the next 6 weeks in getting these goals set and in the right in motion, then I really welcome you to click on that link or scan the QR code, and we'll talk to you and see you next Friday, January 19th. Thanks, everybody.